All right, Perkins on the field now for another Rams drive. 9-0, and 9:29 remaining in the third. We have had coach camp thanks to Sean McVay and Raheem Morris. I think this is a first Les Snead for GM cam. Hi, Les.
How's it going?
How you doing down there?
I'm good. Nice Midwestern summer night.
It's lovely. It feels a little like the South a little bit tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Humid. I love it. Les, on the first GM cam, tell us, in this game, obviously at this point, you've done a lot of evaluation. Is there really something tonight one of these guys does that actually earns them a job, or is it more just a confirmation night where you're just looking to see them confirm again what you kind of think about them and make some of the similar plays you've seen?
That's probably a good word, Big Wit. Confirmation. They put in a lot of work since OTAs to training camp to preseason games. And tonight we'll probably go out, I'll jump on the plane and probably watch special teams. You're really trying to figure out, hey, are these players, are they going to carve out a role in that 48-man roster? Is somebody going to – and then from there, the way we do it, it's 48 and then it's 49 through 69. So 48 get a uniform on game day and the rest are somewhat sitting it out.
Les, we talk a lot about the Sean McVay effect, that y'all have so many coaches around the league now, which is great, except when we're looking at this roster right now, thinking who you might be able to keep on the practice squad, does it actually have an impact, the fact that there are so many coaches now around the NFL with connections to you guys, that they have familiarity with some of these players or similar schemes? Definitely,
Mina. We say it a lot. If we cut an offensive player, is Kevin O'Connell, is Wes Phillips going to be a sponsor for him? Same with if we cut a defensive player, is Ejiro in Denver going to be a sponsor for him? So that definitely comes into play.
The crowd gets loud here on 3rd and 5. Let's see if Perkins can keep this alive so we can keep Les Snead. No flag. Did McCutcheon haul that in? They say he did. Had that jersey with the tug. He caught it. Alan George on his back. And Les, I think this drive stays alive.
Stays alive. Who would it be? Lance McCutcheon. I remember the first time I watched this kid, they were scouts presented him. It was probably a Final Four matchup, Sam Houston State, and they had a really good corner. Probably went 3rd and 4th round, and Lance McCutcheon probably mossed him about 4 or 5 times that night.
Well, Les, he is now over, McCutcheon is 200 yards receiving through 3 games. As Trey Regis with a nice leg drive there, gets around 8 yards. Les, how difficult is Lance McCutcheon making your decisions here as you try to figure out tight end and wide receiver?
It seems like Lance is doing his part to make it easy because he's coming out and making plays, and some of the things he did in college is translating right here on an NFL field. So he's doing his part, and here's what I do know. Sean likes receivers, so it's okay to have as many as possible in that room.
You never want to predict injuries here. Regis pushes forward for, looks like, another first down. But considering how many wide receivers you needed last year, considering that Van Jefferson is still on the mend from his knee surgery back in training camp, I would have to think that helps McCutcheon's cause.
Definitely. You think back to our last game, Super Bowl 56, we probably could have used a couple more in that game based on the injuries we had and OBJ going down right there before the first half. So when we're a 11 personnel dominant team, as Witt knows, right, we need receivers, and we're not a Big 12 or 13 team.
Yeah, and also I think just as all the intricacies that make a Sean McVay offense, it's really hard to bring a receiver off the street from another team that hasn't been in this system. So the guys that are in-house that do it well, have heard the terminology, you really have a leg up in the whole entire situation, and that's really what makes him so valuable.
Yeah, I can't manage. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was going to say Jared Pinkney for 3. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't. It is very hard to, let's call it, claim a player, bring a new player in, and then learn the intricacies of Sean's offense.
Well, you're also number 32 on the waiver list as well. Champagne problems.
I'll take that every year if we can sign up for it.
Almost intercepted. And caught by Akers in traffic for a first down.
Landon Akers says, "Remember me." 84. It's not just 82 on the field.
So
that's right.
Outside the offensive line, where you seem to exclusively be going at the Big Ten, a lot of small school guys that we've been naming throughout this preseason. Montana State, South Carolina State, where we talked about you spotting Kobe Durant during that Clemson blowout, but noticing he did a really good job. Have you been gravitating more towards some of these smaller schools as of late, or is it just a coincidence?
It's probably not necessarily us gravitating that way, or it's probably a little bit more than a coincidence. What usually occurs with those players is through the process, whether it's getting invited to an all-star game and having a solid to good performance there, or having a really good combine or pro day. Through the process, and the later it gets, those guys get to kind of raise their hand and say, remember me, and you get a second look, and here we are.
As we see Cooper Kupp on the sideline there, Les, let's go back a couple of years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. You found Samson Ebukam while scouting Cooper Kupp at Eastern Washington. Perkins on the run. Clay Johnston, former Ram, runs him out of bounds, gained it 2. It was Daniel Hardy, who you drafted in the 7th round, and Lance McCutcheon, a similar situation at Montana State?
I would say very similar, but going back to what Mina had asked, I do remember going back to Samson. He was somebody that was probably more into, let's call it college free agency for us, but he didn't go to the combine and had just an unbelievable pro day. And that put him back on our radar to go, let's get a second look. So through those processes, those kids from those, let's call it FCS Division II, that's usually where they make a run, somewhere late in the process.
Perkins to Tremble, another first down. Bryce Perkins, 6 for 6 on this drive, and the Rams are in Cincinnati territory. Delonte Hood there with the tackle.
Well, going back, Andrew, to Daniel Hardy, I know we allow our special teams coaches to get involved in the process. And being someone that plays OLB defensive end at Montana State, he really did a nice job covering kicks, covering punts for Montana State. So that definitely increased his stock with us.
Les, does that ever kind of make the final call there? I mean, maybe there's 2 guys that are close, and maybe one of them's a little better on normal down and distances and things, but if one guy really sticks out on teams, does that give him a higher chance?
Ball's out, Bengals football. Go ahead, Les.
Yes, Big Wit, because right when we draft for Daniel Hardy, you're not bringing him in necessarily to start. So for him to get one of those jerseys of the 48 men, the 48 guys to get a jersey, having let's call it the special teams coaches sponsor him early, right, and have buy-in and want to develop him to be, right, someone covering kicks and could give you snaps on defense as well as the game progresses.
First ever GM cam, maiden voyage. Les Snead, thanks so much. Catch you afterwards.
Enjoyed it.
9-0. Rams cough up the football. Second fumble loss tonight.